Hey there, thank you so much for joining me for this interview.
You are absolutely welcome.
Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. Hi, I'm PastelDisasters. I'm an artist and furry in, many different fandoms, so it's that it.
Uh, what and who is your persona?
Well, I have many personas, but my main one is her name is Ostrio, and she is a pastel calico with wings, and I've had her for almost 3 years.
Uh, what are your other ones?
Um,
You only have to name like one or two, unless you
yeah,
have
no,
like 50,000, because I know there are people
no,
out there.
no, no, yeah. My other two are, I have one named, my ex name that I went by. Her name is Madison. Um, she is an albino wolf because my favorite animal is a wolf, and I love albino stuff. And then I recently got or making a new one, and his name is Zane, which is another name I go by, and he's a husky. And then I have a angel dragon who's named Autumn, and those are my four.
Where did you get your inspiration when making your personas?
Um, well, I made Madison, but the other ones are mostly, they were adopted, and I
Hmm.
incorporated aspects of my own personality or stuff, or like hair color. Like I would love white hair, and that's why Ashura has white hair, or stuff like that, into them to make them more me.
Can you explain what adoption is in the furry community when it comes to sonos?
Um, I just describe it as you are buying a design from someone, or you connect to a design, and you would want to incorporate aspects into that. At least that's how I personally describe it, because I know different people have different definitions.
And how do you obtain this adopt?
There's multiple ways of like transferring the currency. You can buy it with, money with PayPal, or you can use, if you're like me and you use DeviantArt, for now. You can do it through the point system, or you can, do art trades, or you can trade other designs for that design, or there's like different ways you can do it.
How did you find out about the furry life and what made you want to join?
I don't really remember how I got into it, because I was a brony before that, and I think I just one of my friends introduced me. Like I've always been a fan of anthropomorphic characters, because I've always watched Disney. I've always been into that, because I prefer like Zootopia, for
Hmm.
example. That was really a really cool um, thing that I watched.
Got a
But
whole lot of new furries from just that movie.
yeah, definitely that. I mean, I was a furry before that movie, but that's when I kind of clicked in my mind that I'm really into that. So I started researching it and finding out more about it, talking to people, and that's been years ago, but you know,
How has your experience been since being a part of this fandom?
I guess for everyone it's kind of flip floppy. Um, I've not really had any too terrible experiences besides, the obvious, I used to be on amino, I used to use amino. That was terrible. Um, that was the only negative experience I ever got in the furry community, is furry amino. I don't suggest it, but that's the only negative experience. But since I've joined the fandom, I've met like-minded people. I've met people that are, really into, the same things I am, like role playing and developing our characters, and getting art of our characters, that kind of thing. So it's been a very positive impact.
I haven't found a
We're
single person that likes amino, including myself.
um, it's very kind of a mixed kind of thing. A lot of people don't like it for the Aminocoin system. I personally think I think it's okay for newer people. Like if they're young and they want to get art of their characters, then they have a currency that they can use on that platform. But at the same time, they don't regulate very well. There's a lot of theft on there. Or I've had that happen to me on there. Um, So it's kind of a mixed mash. I think it's good for newer people, but if you're like older and more experienced, then it's not. It's not for them, in my opinion. You know,
Have you had any embarrassing moments while being a furry?
I don't really know, honestly. I've had to explain to people if that counts when it comes to like what a furry is, because I use Kick sometimes to talk back and forth with people because it's easier and faster, or I was at the time. I've explained to people that I've met on there, which is I've not had any negative. I've had a lot of misinformation. I've had to tell them, it's not a fetish. No one likes that side, but it is apparent because any fandom has that.
Mhm.
So the only embarrassing moments is having someone tell me, "Do I want to, do animals?" And I'm like, "That's not what this is at all." And I've had to like tell them what it is, what we're into, what a furry is, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the only embarrassing kind of moment, which was at school. So
Yeah, explain that to your teachers.
yeah, I've not really had any bad teachers. Like I've only had people that are bad.
What is one thing you dislike about the fandom?
I don't really can't. I don't really have anything bad that I don't like the people that make it bad. If I don't know if that really counts because of course that's a given, but I don't. Hmm.
Tough question, huh?
Yeah, that's a toughy one. That's a tough one.
Well, since you haven't had many bad experiences, you don't really have that, oh, I dislike this.
I just the only thing I really dislike about the community is some people, I guess, like the obvious kind of excuse me, out there, or that's the only well, that's the only really thing I don't like. I just don't like the people that are obviously make it bad.
If you could change something about the fandom, what would that be?
Hmm, that is a tough one too.
See, we're getting all sophisticated in this.
Yeah, and I really have to think about that. I'm not used to like I usually just think from my mind, and I'm actually kind of have to word it because I have problems with wording,
Oh, not a problem. You do the best you
and I do
can.
hand motions. The only thing I would probably change about the community is just the theft, I suppose, because trust me, in other like platforms, Kick, there's a lot of theft, and I get really agitated at people when they do that because you never know if you're stealing someone's personal character.
Hmm.
I can understand face claims, and I appreciate them like not being like, "Hey, this is mine," but still, that could be like a really personal character with like a deep backstory to them that they really hold dear to their heart, and you don't know if you're doing that because I am very personal with my characters. I love all my characters. They're my babies, my beans. So I can see where that would make someone extremely upset.
Yeah. Let's say you are not at all socially awkward or shy, and you met a total stranger, someone who has never heard of the fandom or anything, or that knows about it. How would you explain the fandom to them? They're like a clean slate. They don't know what it is. They just found out the word.
Well, considering I've actually had to do that, I usually tell people that ask me what a furry is. I tell them I have three categories. One of them are just people that are interested in it or have characters. The other ones, who get merch, fursuits, that kind of thing. And the third one is the kind of iffy part when, mersuiters and stuff like that are in that category. So I usually explain to people, a furry is just people that are interested in anthropomorphic characters. Some of them are more human, some of them are more animal. And they like developing their characters or role playing the characters or just getting art of them or just getting a fursuit and bringing them to life and, doing stuff for charity because that's what a lot of it is, I've found.
If you had a warning to give to those who are just starting out or haven't joined the fandom yet, what would that be? And sorry if I sound like I'm talking slow. I've been told that I talk too fast and I'm trying to slow it down.
You're fine. I do that a lot too, so don't worry. Just be you. Just be yourself. Design what you want. Do what you want. Experience and learn. I guess are just the basic stuff if you're getting into the fandom. You know, ask for help. If you need help, there are people, there are groups that will do free art for you, design your own character. If you need help doing that and you're not into art, or will help you get started with that, because I found that there's a lot of very kind people in the fandom, like the kindest people I've ever met, honestly, especially where I live. Like, I have never found anyone that is so nice and will help people than the furry community. And I've been in many fandoms.
What would you say was your best or favorite moments have been since being in the community?
Honestly, joining Twitter, getting into Twitter, interacting with fellow furries and creators, that's honestly been the most amazing thing I've decided to do, because I was really iffy with joining Twitter. But being able to interact and, tweet at your favorite creators or help them, meet them, kind of are probably the most impactful thing that I've ever experienced, besides, being on Discord. Discord, I think, is a very good platform for furries too, because I'm in a lot of groups with that.
Has being a furry changed you at all since before joining?
I think it's made me more responsible, more humble, which is kind of weird to say, but like, since I've been in the fandom, I've learned a lot about people. I've learned to be very respectful of people's, characters, art, be more eyeful, you know, a lot more communicative, because I used to be extremely shy. The fact that I'm doing this right now shows a lot, because I've always been the kind of so like shy person. But since I've been a furry, I've been very outgoing. I've really been like getting into my own head, who I want to be, since I've made my characters or developed them the way that I want them to be. Because they used to be um, who I want it to be, so I've kind of turned into them. So
Do you own any fursuits or parts?
I don't, but I want to. I really want to. The fact that you can bring your character to life. Like, I want to go to conventions. I want to, you know, at least own some paws or like a tail or some like little cat ears of like Austria. That's my number one thing I want to do.
What is your opinion on fursuits?
I love them, honestly. They're so cute. They're adorable. Um, Very fluffy looking. I think that just the fact you can bring your character to life like that is amazing. Yeah, they're expensive, but they're handmade, and the people who do that, they baffle me, honestly. I can't even draw a 3D space, and making a fursuit, a full on fursuit, bit by bit, is just amazing.
Have you gone to any fur cons yet?
No, I want to, though. I almost was able to. It wasn't specifically a furry con, but a lot of furries go to anime conventions as well, so I was almost able to, but I got sick.
What is the worst encounter or interaction you've had with another furry?
Hmm.
Making you think again.
Yeah, making me think again.
I'm
Um,
just so horrible.
you're fine. No, I like thinking. I'm a very mindful person, I think. Um, I've had a, it's kind of furry related, because they would post, cringe furry stuff. I've a lot, like, Facebook is very known for like the cringe pages, that kind of thing. I've had a very negative experiences with that. When I was kind of newer into the brony and the furry fandom, I would have my characters put on those, and it would really upset me because, as a newer person, you don't know what you're doing. You need help. So that's the only extremely kind of negative experience I've had, but that was when I was extremely new.
In your opinion, why do you think furries and the fandom is so appealing?
You're able to, basically make a character, develop it, and bring it to life. That was my appeal to it. You know, I've always been into writing, so I was more drawn for the role play aspect. I love role playing my characters. I love developing them and having cute little quirks added to them as I go along, developing their personality or how they would act, because that can really help you later on if you do get a suit. You can kind of learn how to be them in a way, or like act as them. So my appeal to it, in my opinion, is the characters that you can make, how unique you can make them, how basic you can make them, if you're into that. At least that was my appeal.
Which animal do you think is the most overused for a persona and why?
It's probably a very common answer, but definitely canines.
It
But
is.
but I love canines, so felines and canines are probably the most used out of any of the species, but there's also unique ones, so it all depends on the person. I just think it's canines, but I love canines, so I'm not gonna complain.
I also think it's probably because it's the easiest to
Oh yeah.
color, you know.
Well, for me, it's draw. I used to literally, in like my first design of Austria, she looked like a canine. I didn't mean for her to be, and people would draw her wrong, and it would upset me. And I knew it was me that did that because I made her snout more kind of like long and fox-like than
Mhm.
round like a cat would be. Now I've kind of fixed that, but yeah,
That's like the little
definitely.
voice thing and it says I'm a cat.
I'm a cat, not a dog. Yeah, I'd have to get snippy with people on that. Be like, no, you need to fix the muzzle. She's not a canine. I just can't draw.
What do you think is a good way to help the community get a better reputation to those who might not understand?
In my opinion, there's really no way to do that because there's always going to be people that are going to be in the fandom and make it bad. There's going to be irresponsible people. There's going to be people that just won't stop doing what they're doing. So there's never really going to be a way to fix that completely. But one way to help it is like, with drama that's happened with people being found out for really bad things, people push those people out. They don't associate with it, which I think is really great because that shows kind of the morals of the furry fandom. Like if someone does something bad, they immediately push them out and gather the evidence that they need.
Mhm.
So that's really great. I love that they do that because not a lot of people will do that. Not a lot of people will look at both sides of the situation. So just being able to push them aside and get that evidence and bring it to the front and be able to dissect that is great. That's one thing that they do good. That's one thing we do good.
What is your opinion on the stigma people have about the fandom? And yes, I
Like
said a
the
big word.
Yeah, like the misinformation.
You know, like what's your opinion on why they hate us?
Okay, see, I think it's just the misinformation, honestly, because a lot of people don't really understand the whole concept or won't listen to reason. But I think it has to do with a lot of the misinformation that the media talks about. You know, when media talks about furries, they kind of misinform and reword stuff to make it sound kind of more malicious.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the right word to use,
Out of
but
proportion.
yeah, out of proportion. I suppose that's a better word for it. Um, yeah, they blow it out of proportion and they don't, think about it. more than they probably should, or ask people about it. So that's probably the biggest issue with most people, is just not knowing or not asking. So,
how do you react to any hate?
um, it honestly depends. If they're being right out, jerky about it, I flat out put them in their place and tell them, you need to learn more about it. You need to go do your own research. Or if they're just genuine people that don't know anything about the fandom, you can kind of sit them down, talk, just basically tell them, this is not what we are. This is what we are. This is the stuff that most people will tell you, but this is what it actually is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. What is it about the furry community that makes you happy?
Just the genuine kindness. I love the furry community. There's bad parts, but there's also like an extremely positive, because of just how kind most are. Like, a lot of my friends are furries. A lot of my friends are like have suits, and I love supporting them and doing what they're doing. I have a lot of artist friends that are furries, and I love their art. God, some of their art is great.
Last question. Would you be offended if someone slapped you with a waffle?
I'd eat it.
Does it matter what type?
I don't know. I don't really care. I just want to eat waffles.
Waffles are good.
Yeah, I want to
But
try waffles.
but awesome. Thank you so much for giving me this time.
You're fine. I mean, I've been more confident lately, so I like trying to help out the community and being more involved than I used to be. So
Get yourself out
you're
there.
welcome. That too. I need money.
Right?
Everyone needs money,
Share the
especially
green.
especially for the tiny newbie adult.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers?
Just be yourself. If you want to be a furry, just go to somebody and ask them about it, because honestly, we're the kindest people around.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. See ya.
Bye. Silly.
I'd like to give a shout out to my Patreons, Buddy Schubert, Bimbo Bambo, and God of Gun Iron. Thank you so much for the support.